Have you ever wondered why people hate those who are different from them? Why, if you choose your own path, refuse to obey the rules of the crowd, they begin to despise you, judge you, say that you are arrogant, that you think too highly of yourself. Friedrich Nietzsche despised mediocrity. He saw it as a poison that corrupts humanity. People fear their own freedom, fear stepping beyond the familiar, because beyond the borders of comfort lies the unknown. It's easier for them to stay in their herd, to follow someone, to hide behind morality, rules, and collective values that make them weak, because then they don't have to take responsibility for their lives. But the moment someone appears who refuses to live by these rules, the crowd goes into a frenzy. They hate him. They fear him. They say he is dangerous. But in reality, he simply reminds them of their own weakness. His independence is a challenge to their submission. His freedom is a mirror in which they see their own inadequacy. Society teaches you from childhood to be obedient, not to ask questions, to follow the established path, to do what is right. But who decides what is right? Those who control the crowd, those who don't want people to think for themselves, those who benefit from keeping you weak, compliant, and submissive. Nietzsche spoke of the concept of the Übermensch, the person who has overcome their fears, who does not need the approval of others, who creates their own morality and rules. But how many people are truly capable of this? Most don't even try. It's easier for them to accuse people like you of arrogance, selfishness, coldness. They will tell you that you are too harsh, that you expect too much from life, that you should be simpler. But in reality, they just want you to become like them, so that you don't remind them that life can be different. Have you noticed that the more you compromise, the less you're respected? The more you try to be convenient, the worse people treat you? This is not a coincidence. People only value what requires effort. If you are always available, always ready to help, always patiently listening, forgiving, supporting, they start to take you for granted, as a resource to be used, as something that is just there. But the moment you start setting boundaries, the moment you say no, the moment you stop being convenient, you become a problem. People who are used to your endless kindness, your submission, suddenly start seeing you as selfish. They say you have changed, that you used to be better. But what do they really mean? That you used to be convenient for them. You must understand one thing. The world does not reward the weak. No one will appreciate your sacrifices if you do not respect yourself. No one will treat you with dignity if you allow yourself to be used. People will always try to get the most from you with the least effort. They will test your limits, and if you allow it, they will not stop. Nietzsche said that a true individual is someone who can reject imposed values, who decides for themselves how to live, who stops being a slave to others' expectations. This is someone who understands that everything imposed on them is just a means of control. Control through guilt, through the fear of judgment, through dependence on the opinions of others. The moment you stop apologizing, stop seeking approval, stop trying to please everyone, you become free. You become the one who controls your own life. But at that moment, you become an enemy to the majority. They do not want you to be free because then they would have to face their own lack of freedom. They would have to admit that they have lived their entire lives the wrong way, that they themselves chose to be victims, that no one but them is to blame for how their fate has unfolded, and that terrifies them. So they will try to make you submit again. They will judge you, try to break you, use every possible social pressure against you. They will say that you are too harsh, too radical, that you cannot live the way you want. But tell me this, if you cannot live the way you want, is it really a life, or is it just existence? You have already started to see how this world works. You have realized that people hate those who go beyond the boundaries, who refuse to play by their rules, who dare to question the established order. They don't fear you because you're doing something wrong. They fear you because you remind them that life can be different. They don't see just a person in you, they see a threat to their comfort, to their beliefs, to their illusions. And what do? They try to force you back into the herd. They begin to use every tool they have to break you. The first thing they resort to is judgment. They will say that you have become cold, that you are too selfish, that you are not like everyone else. They will try to shame you for choosing yourself over them. But you must understand this is not your fault. It is their weakness. They are afraid to see strength in you because that would mean admitting their own weakness. It is easier for them to say that you are wrong than to admit that they simply cannot do the same. If judgment doesn't work, they move on to the second stage, pressure through social norms. They will say that you can't live like this, that you must be like everyone else, that you shouldn't be too proud, too independent, too self-sufficient. They will impose their rules on you as if you are obligated to obey them. But who created these rules? Who decided that you must live by their standards? Who gave them the right to dictate how you should feel, think, or act? It is just a tool of control. People who cannot control themselves will always try to control others. They cannot manage their own lives, so they try to manage yours. But a true individual is someone who decides for themselves what is right. Someone who is not afraid to be inconvenient, not afraid to step beyond the boundaries, not afraid to walk their own path, even if it leads them to solitude. Nietzsche said that only the strong can be free. Only those who can reject delusions, impose moral norms, and the need to please others. The weak always look for excuses, always look for someone to blame for their own failures, always try to avoid responsibility for their own lives. That is why they hate you. They see in you something they will never achieve themselves. They see your independence, your confidence, your indifference to public opinion, and it kills them. They will try to break you, to force you back into the herd. But if you stand firm, they will resort to the last thing they have left. They will turn away from you. And this is the most important moment. If you withstand judgment, withstand pressure, resist manipulation, and refuse to be controlled, they will pretend you no longer exist. They will exclude you from their reality. They will ignore you, act as if you're not there, as if you're no longer a person in their eyes. And at that moment, you will see who truly valued you and who was only using you, because those who truly respect you will remain, and those who were around you only for their own benefit will disappear. You cannot please everyone. You cannot be convenient for everyone, and most importantly, you shouldn't be. Your time, your energy, your life, these are the most valuable things you have. And if you waste them on those who do not appreciate you, you are betraying yourself. Why try to hold on to those who betrayed you first? Why cling to people who only respected you when you were useful to them? Why be afraid to lose something that was never truly yours? You must accept one simple truth: the world will not change. People will not become better just because you want them to. But you can change yourself. You can stop waiting for approval. You can stop fearing rejection. You can stop believing that you need someone's permission to be yourself. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your path. You don't have to justify your decisions. You don't have to prove your worth. Your worth does not depend on anyone's opinion. It is not measured by the number of friends, the number of approving glances, the number of compliments. It is measured by only one thing: how true you are to yourself. In the end, what is more important, being loved by a crowd that will betray you at the first opportunity, or being honest with yourself? Nietzsche said that true freedom is when you decide who you are, not society, not parents, not friends, not a boss, only you. And if that makes you lonely, so be it, because the solitude you choose for yourself is always better than a life where you betray yourself just to gain the approval of others.